Look around you. The people you eat with, the people you text every day, the people you call when something goes wrong. Now ask yourself one honest question. Are any of them actually doing better than you financially? Or are you all just stuck together? Because here's something nobody wants to say out loud. The people closest to you might be the exact reason you can't move forward. Not because they're bad people, not because they don't care about you, but because you become what you're around. And if everyone around you is broke, it's only a matter of time before you are too. Hey, I'm Carl. And if you're new here, welcome. This channel exists because nobody sat me down when I was younger and explained how any of this actually works. Not school, not my parents, nobody. So I had to figure it out myself. The hard way, slowly, with a lot of wasted time in between. And every video I make here is what I wish someone had told me back then. Today we're talking about something I avoided thinking about for a long time because it made me uncomfortable. Your friends. Specifically, how the people you spend the most time with are quietly shaping your financial life. Whether you want them to or not, whether you realize it or not. I know that sounds harsh, and I'm not saying your friends are bad people. I'm not saying you need to cut anyone off. But I am saying that this is one of the most important things you will ever understand about money. And almost nobody talks about it, so stay with me, because this one hit me harder than almost anything else I've learned. A few years ago, I was going through a phase where I was trying to figure out why I wasn't moving forward. I was working, I was making money, I wasn't doing anything obviously stupid, but every month I was in the same place, same balance, same stress, same feeling of going nowhere, and I couldn't figure out why. Then I picked up Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You've probably heard of it. Most people have. And if I'm honest, a lot of it I had heard before. Assets and liabilities. Making money work for you. The difference between the rich mindset and the poor mindset. I was nodding along thinking, yeah, I know this. But then I got to a part that stopped me completely. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about investing. It was about people. Kiyosaki talked about how your financial life is largely a reflection of the people you surround yourself with. Not just your habits, not just your decisions, but your standard. What feels normal to you, what feels possible to you, what you think people like you are supposed to do. And I put the book down, and I just sat there for a minute. Because I realized something I had never let myself think about before. I started going through my friends in my head, one by one, the guys I grew up with, the people I saw every weekend, the group chat that never stopped, and I asked myself, what are they actually doing with their money? And the answer was uncomfortable. Every single one of them was doing exactly what I was doing, working a job they didn't love, spending everything they made, complaining about money constantly, talking about what they were going to do someday, but never actually doing anything. And we had been like this for years. We had grown up together. We had the same conversations about money every single time we saw each other. Things are tough right now. I'll start saving next month. I just need to get through this period and then I'll sort it out. And none of us ever did. Not one of us, because none of us knew any different. We were each other's normal, and normal was broke. And then I had a thought that genuinely scared me. If I stay on this path, if I keep showing up to the same dinners, the same nights out, the same conversations about how hard things are, I am going to be in this exact same place in 10 years. Not because I'm stupid, not because I'm lazy, not because I don't want more, but because I had built my entire life around people who had quietly, accidentally, without meaning to, at all, set a ceiling for what I thought was possible. And I had been living under that ceiling for years without even knowing it was there. That was the moment everything shifted for me. So let me explain why this actually happens, because it's not random, and it's not your fault. It comes down to something called social norming. Your brain is constantly, and I mean constantly, scanning the people around you to figure out what is normal, what is acceptable, what is expected of someone like you. This isn't something you choose to do. It happens automatically. It's wired into us from thousands of years of being social creatures who survive by fitting in with the group. And when your entire social circle spends money a certain way, when they all go out every weekend without thinking about it, when they all upgrade their phones every year because that's just what you do, when none of them ever talk about investing or building anything or thinking 10 years ahead, your brain files all of that away as normal, as what people do, as what you do. And then when you try to do something different, when you try to start investing instead of spending, when you try to say no to the dinner you can't afford, when you try to have a different kind of conversation about the future, your brain resists because you're not just going against a habit. You're going against everything your environment has told you is normal. And that is a much harder thing to fight. There's a quote by Jim Rohn that most people have heard. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Most people hear that and think it's just motivational talk. Surround yourself with positive people, mindset stuff, good vibes, but it goes so much deeper than that. A Harvard economist named Raj Chetty spent years studying what actually determines whether people move up financially in life. What gives someone a real shot at doing better than their parents? And what he found surprised a lot of people. It wasn't just education. It wasn't just the neighborhood you grew up in. It wasn't just your income or your intelligence or how hard you worked. One of the strongest predictors of upward financial mobility was the economic behavior of the people you interact with regularly, the people in your daily life, your circle. If the people around you have higher financial standards than you will naturally start to rise to meet them. Not because anyone is pushing you, not because anyone is telling you what to do, but because their normal becomes your normal, and you start making different decisions without even realizing why. The opposite is also true. If the people around you have lower financial standards, if broke is normal in your circle, if nobody around you is building anything, you will naturally drift in that direction, even if you know better, even if you want something different, because the pull of your environment is stronger than most people give it credit for. And the really uncomfortable part, most people have no idea it's happening to them. I didn't. I thought I was just unlucky. I thought I just hadn't found the right opportunity yet. I didn't realize that the biggest thing standing between me and a different financial life was sitting across from me at dinner every Friday night. So let me give you the signs. The specific things that tell you your friends are costing you money, because most people miss these completely. I missed them for years. The first sign. You spend money you don't have just to keep up. The group chat blows up on a Thursday. Someone suggests a restaurant, a nice one, the kind where you look at the menu and immediately start doing mental math. And you know you shouldn't go. Not this week. Not with your account looking the way it looks. But everyone is going, and you don't want to be the one who says no. You don't want to explain yourself. You don't want to sit at home knowing they're all out without you. So you go. You order what everyone else orders. You split the bill evenly, you put it on your card, and you tell yourself you'll sort it out later. This happens once. Then it happens again 2 weeks later. Then it's just every weekend. And by the end of the month, you're looking at your bank account wondering where it all went. Not on one big thing, just on 100 small moments of not wanting to be the odd one out. That's what it actually looks like. It doesn't feel like a financial problem. It feels like being a good friend. But the bill is the same either way. The second sign, your conversations about money go nowhere. You talk about being broke. Everyone nods, someone makes a joke, everyone laughs, and then you order another round and move on. Nobody actually says, okay, so what are we going to do about it? Because nobody knows, and nobody wants to be the person who makes it serious. So it stays a joke, and jokes don't change anything. Misery doesn't just love company. It keeps it comfortable enough that nobody feels the need to leave. When being broke is something you laugh about together, it stops feeling like a problem you need to solve. It just feels like life. And that is one of the most expensive things your social circle can do to you. Not take your money. Just make you comfortable enough with having none that you stop fighting for more. The third sign. Your biggest financial decisions are shaped by what your friends would think. Not what you can afford. Not what makes sense for where you want to go. But what fits in. You buy a car that stretches you financially because your friends all drive decent cars and you don't want to be the one showing up in something embarrassing. You move into a more expensive apartment because it's in the same area as your friends and you want to be close. You spend money on clothes, on nights out, on holidays you can't quite afford, not because you genuinely want to, but because your social life is built around a certain standard of living. And dropping below it feels like losing something. None of your friends told you to do any of this. None of them sat you down and said spend more than you should. But their lifestyle set the bar. And you've been quietly, automatically trying to meet it every single month. The fourth sign. Nobody in your group is thinking long term. Not really. There's no conversation about where you want to be in 5 years. No one is talking about what they're building. No one is asking the questions that actually matter. What is my money doing while I sleep? Am I building anything that will still be here in 10 years? If I lost my job tomorrow, how long could I survive when nobody around you is thinking about those things? You stop thinking about them too, because it feels strange to be the only one who cares. It feels intense. It feels like you're taking life too seriously, while everyone else is just enjoying it. So you let it go. You tell yourself you'll think about it later, and later never comes, because later never comes when your environment keeps pulling you back to right now. 5 years pass, and you're in the same place, older, more tired, and wondering why nothing has changed, when the answer was sitting across from you the whole time. Now here's where most people get this completely wrong. They hear something like, your friends are holding you back, and their brain immediately jumps to the most dramatic conclusion. Cut everyone off, ghost the group chat, start fresh with entirely new people. And look, I get it. It sounds logical when you say it out loud. Bad influences out, good influences in. But that's not how real life works. And honestly, if that's your plan, you're going to end up isolated and worse off than before. You don't need to end your friendships. You need to change the balance. The first thing you need to do is stop performing for your friends. This is the most immediate thing you can change, and it will cost you nothing except a little discomfort. The nights out you can't afford, stop going to all of them. The rounds of drinks you put on your card, stop buying them. The group holiday that everyone is planning. It's okay to sit this one out. You are not obligated to keep up. Real friendship doesn't have a financial entry requirement, and if the people in your life make you feel guilty for not spending money you don't have, that is telling you something important about the nature of those friendships. Start saying no more often, not every time, but more than you do now, and pay attention to what happens when you do. Because the people who respect it without making a big deal out of it are the ones worth keeping. The people who make you feel like you're letting the side down for looking after yourself are the ones costing you the most, not just financially, but in terms of who you're allowed to become around them. The second thing you need to do is change what you talk about. This one is more subtle, but it might be the most powerful shift you can make without changing a single person in your life. The next time you're with someone you trust, bring up money differently. Not to lecture them, not to show off something you've been learning. Just ask a question, a genuine one. Have you ever thought about investing? Do you know anything about index funds? I've been trying to figure out how to make my money do something while I sleep. Have you ever looked into that? You might be surprised by what happens, because a lot of people in your life are thinking the same things you are. They feel stuck too. They want something different too. But nobody wants to be the first one to say it out loud. Nobody wants to be the one who suddenly gets serious while everyone else is just having a good time. Be that person. Start the conversation. Because if even one person in your circle starts thinking differently because of a conversation you started, the whole dynamic of the group shifts, and that shift, slowly, quietly, changes everything. The third thing you need to do is create distance from the friendships that exist purely around spending. Not all friendships are the same. Some friendships are deep, built on trust and shared history and genuine care for each other. Those are worth protecting. But some friendships, if you're honest with yourself, exist almost entirely around going out, spending money, looking a certain way, keeping up a certain image, and those friendships, as fun as they can be, should not be the ones getting most of your time. You don't have to end them. You don't have to make it dramatic. Just see those people a little less, and use that time differently. Because time is the one thing you cannot get back. And every hour you spend in an environment that pulls you backward is an hour you're not spending on building something that moves you forward. Now here's the part most people completely skip. Because removing negative influences is only half of it. The other half is what you put in their place. Nature hates a vacuum. If you pull back from relationships that are costing you without filling that space with something better, you'll just drift back to the same environment. Because it's familiar. Because it's comfortable. Because at least you know what to expect there. So you need to be intentional about what you add. And I'm not talking about finding rich friends. I'm not saying go out and try to network your way into a room full of successful people. I'm talking about finding people who are building something. People who are curious about the same things you're curious about. People whose normal is slightly different from yours. People who make different feel possible. So where do you actually find them? Online communities are the most underrated answer to this question. There are thousands of places right now. Reddit threads, Discord servers, YouTube communities, forums full of ordinary people who are actively figuring out investing, building side incomes, developing skills, reading the same books you're reading. And when you start spending time in those spaces, something quiet but powerful starts to happen. Your sense of what is normal starts to shift. You stop seeing investing as something only rich people do, because you see regular people doing it every single day. You stop seeing building a second income as some unrealistic fantasy, because you see people doing it from their kitchen tables with nothing but a laptop and a few free hours a week. And when something feels normal, when it stops feeling like a big scary exception and starts feeling like just a thing people do, you start doing it without as much resistance, without as much fear. That shift in what feels normal to you is worth more than any single piece of financial advice I could ever give you. Mentors are the next thing worth looking for. And I don't mean a formal mentor with scheduled meetings and a structured program. I just mean someone who is 5 to 10 years ahead of where you want to be. Someone whose life looks a little like what you're working toward. And here's what most people don't realize about those people. The vast majority of them are willing to talk. Not all of them, but more than you'd expect. Because most successful people remember what it felt like to be where you are now. They remember the confusion, the feeling of not knowing where to start, the sense that everyone else had figured something out that they hadn't. And most of them, if you approach them with genuine curiosity and actual respect for their time, are happy to share what they know. A message, a comment, an email. A simple question asked without any expectation. The worst that happens is they don't respond, and you're exactly where you were before. But sometimes they do, and one conversation with the right person at the right time can change the entire direction of your thinking. Don't underestimate that. And finally, the voices you let into your head every single day, the podcasts you listen to on the way to work, the videos you watch when you have 20 minutes to spare, the books you read before you go to sleep. All of it shapes how you think, more than you realize, more than feels fair. If the only voices in your life are people who are stuck, people who see money as something that happens to you rather than something you can control, people who have given up on the idea that things can actually be different, you will think like them, even if you don't want to, even if you know better in theory. So fill that space intentionally, not with people telling you to hustle harder and wake up at 5 a.m. and become a different person overnight. Just people who are building something. People who think differently about money than the people around you do. People who make you feel like the life you actually want is a real option, not a fantasy, not something for other people. Just a thing that is available to you if you make different choices consistently over time. Because that's all it is. Different choices, made consistently, over time. Here's what I want to leave you with today. Your friends are not your enemy. The people you love are not obstacles standing between you and a better life, but your environment is always doing something to you. It is either pushing you forward or pulling you back. There is no neutral. There is no standing still. Every single day. Through the conversations you have, the things that feel normal, the things that feel weird, the decisions that feel obvious. Your environment is shaping who you are becoming, and the sooner you take that seriously, the sooner you can start being intentional about it. I didn't cut off my old friends. I'm still close with people I've known my whole life, but I changed the balance. I added new voices, new standards, new conversations, and slowly, without forcing it, without it feeling like some big dramatic transformation, my own thinking started to change. My decisions started to change. My results started to change. Not overnight, not all at once. Just slowly, quietly, over time. The way real change always works. If this video gave you something today, you already know what to do. I'm Carl, and I'll see you in the next one.